Sarah held the pregnancy test in her shaking hands. 2 pink lines stared back at her. 6 months. That's all the doctor said she had left to live. The cancer in her body was spreading fast, but the baby growing inside her was also growing fast. She put her hand on her stomach. Tears rolled down her face. She had to make a choice that would break her heart. "I'm going to meet you, baby," she whispered, "even if it's just one time." Her husband, David, found her on the bathroom floor 20 minutes later, the positive test still gripped in her hand. His face went pale as she explained everything. The diagnosis she'd kept secret for 2 weeks, the pregnancy they'd tried for years to achieve, the impossible choice ahead. "We can't," he said, his voice cracking. "Sarah, we can't do this. The treatments, they'll harm the baby, and without treatment, you'll—" He couldn't finish the sentence. Sarah reached for his hand, guiding it to her stomach. "This is our miracle, David. After 4 years of trying, of losing hope, of endless disappointments, our baby is here. But you won't be," he choked out, pulling away. "Don't ask me to choose. Please, don't make me choose between you and a child I haven't even met." Sarah's heart shattered, but her resolve remained unshaken. She had already chosen. The months that followed were the most beautiful and brutal of their lives. Sarah declined the aggressive chemotherapy that might have bought her time, but would certainly end the pregnancy. Instead, she documented everything. Video diaries recorded late at night when David was asleep, his grief too heavy to watch her prepare to leave. She wrote letters, hundreds of them, for birthdays she'd never see, graduations she'd never attend, a wedding she'd never witness. "Dear baby, on your first day of school. My darling, for your 16th birthday. To my child, on your wedding day." Each envelope was sealed with tears and labeled with dates stretching years into a future she wouldn't see. David watched his wife waste away even as her belly grew round with life. Some nights, he'd find her standing in the nursery they'd painted together, one hand on the crib they'd assembled, the other on her swollen stomach. "I'm sorry," he whispered one night, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "I'm sorry I was angry. I understand now." She leaned back against him, feeling the baby kick beneath their joined hands. "This is love, David. Real love. It's not just the happy moments. It's sacrifice. It's choosing their life even when it costs you everything." At 7 months, Sarah collapsed during a doctor's appointment. The cancer had progressed faster than anyone predicted. "We need to deliver now," the doctor said urgently. "Emergency C-section. It's the baby's only chance. And Sarah, it might be yours too." But Sarah knew better. She'd felt her body failing, felt the cancer consuming her from the inside. In the operating room, as they prepped her for surgery, she grabbed David's hand with surprising strength. "Promise me," she gasped. "Promise me you'll tell our baby about me. Not just how I died, but how I lived. Tell them about our first date when you spilled wine on my dress." She smiled through her pain. "Tell them about the terrible songs I sang in the shower, about how I burned every meal but never stopped trying. Tell them about the night we danced in the rain because we were too happy to wait for the storm to pass." David's tears fell onto their joined hands. "I promise, every day, they'll know you, Sarah. They'll know how much you loved them before they even drew breath." The anesthesia began to pull her under. Her last conscious thought was a prayer that she'd hear one sound, just one. Then the world went dark. When Sarah opened her eyes, she wasn't in the hospital anymore. The pain was gone. The weakness that had plagued her for months had vanished. She stood in a room filled with soft golden light, and in the distance she heard it, the sound she'd prayed for, a baby's cry. Strong, healthy, furious with life. A woman appeared beside her, radiating warmth and peace. "You can't stay," she said gently. "You know that, don't you?" Sarah nodded, her heart breaking and soaring simultaneously. "I know, but did I make it? Did I hear them cry?" The woman smiled. "You did more than hear. Listen." Suddenly, Sarah could see through a veil. The operating room, David holding a tiny, perfect baby girl wrapped in a pink blanket. She was screaming, her little face scrunched up and red, her tiny fists waving in protest to the cold, bright world. "She's beautiful," David sobbed, cradling their daughter against his chest. "Sarah, she's perfect. You did it. You gave her life." Sarah watched, tears streaming down her face in that in-between place. "Tell her," she whispered, knowing he couldn't hear. "Tell her I loved her first." "What would you like to name her?" a nurse asked gently. David looked down at his daughter, then back at the operating table where doctors were still working frantically on Sarah's failing body. "Hope," he said firmly. "Her name is Hope Sarah, because that's what her mother gave her. That's what she gave us both." In that moment, as David spoke her name, something extraordinary happened. Baby Hope stopped crying. Her eyes, blue as her mother's, opened wide and seemed to look directly at where Sarah stood beyond the veil. "She sees you," the woman beside Sarah said softly. "Babies can, you know. They're still close enough to the other side to catch glimpses." Sarah reached out instinctively, and though she couldn't touch her daughter, she felt a connection spark between them, a golden thread that stretched across the boundary between life and death. "I love you, Hope. I love you more than I ever loved my own life. Be brave, be kind, be everything I couldn't stay to see." The baby cooed softly, her tiny hand reaching up as if trying to grasp something invisible. David noticed, his breath catching. "She knows," he murmured in wonder. "Somehow she knows you're here, Sarah." The monitors around Sarah's body began to flatline, the urgent beeping filling the room with finality. "We're losing her," someone shouted, but David didn't move. He stayed focused on Hope, whispering urgently. "Your mommy loved you so much that she gave up everything so you could live. That's real love, Hope. That's the kind of love that never dies." Sarah felt herself being pulled away, the golden light growing brighter. But before she went, she sang one last lullaby. "Hush now, my darling, don't you cry. Mama's here, though you can't see. I'm in every star up in the sky. Every gentle breeze, I'm here with thee." "Time's up," the woman said gently, extending her hand to Sarah. "But your love isn't. It stays with her. In every letter you wrote, every video you recorded, every choice you made." "Will she understand?" Sarah asked, her voice breaking. "When she's older, will she understand why I chose this?" The woman's smile was radiant. "She'll understand that some loves are so powerful, they literally give life. She'll understand that you didn't leave her. You made sure she could arrive." Sarah took one last look at her daughter, memorizing every detail of that tiny, perfect face. "Goodbye, my Hope," she whispered. "Live beautifully. Live boldly. Live the life I would have given anything to see." As Sarah stepped fully into the light, she heard David's voice one final time. "We'll be okay, Sarah. Because of you, we'll be okay. I'll keep my promise. Every single day, she'll know her mother's love." 15 years later, Hope, Sarah, stood in front of her high school, clutching an envelope labeled, "Your first day of high school." She'd read hundreds of her mother's letters over the years. Each one had arrived at exactly the right moment, perfectly timed for milestones Sarah had predicted with uncanny accuracy. This letter was different. The paper was more worn, as if it had been rewritten multiple times. "My darling Hope," it began. "Today you start high school, and I wish I could see you. I wish I could embarrass you by taking 1,000,000 photos and crying in the parking lot." Hope smiled through her tears, her father's arm around her shoulders. "But I want you to know something important. Every day of your life has been my gift to you. Not the day I died, but every single day you've lived since. When you laugh, that's my joy. When you dream, that's my hope. When you love, that's my heart still beating in this world. Don't grieve from me, sweet girl. Instead, live. Live so fully, so completely, so beautifully that my sacrifice was worth every moment. Because you are worth everything. You always were. From the moment I knew you existed, you were worth my whole world." Hope pressed her letter to her heart, looking up at the sky, where the morning sun painted the clouds in shades of gold and pink. "I love you too, Mom, and I promise I'll make every day count." As she walked into the school, the wind picked up gently, wrapping around her like an embrace. And somewhere beyond the veil, Sarah smiled. Her sacrifice had been worth it. Her daughter was living, thriving, loving. Hope had been her gift to the world, and in return, every day of Hope's life was her gift back to Sarah. That's what real love is, not measured in years spent together, but in the depth of sacrifice made for each other. Some loves last a lifetime, but the greatest loves create lifetimes that would never have existed otherwise. Sarah's love had done exactly that, and it would echo through every moment of Hope's life, every decision she made, every person she touched. Because a mother's love doesn't end with her last breath. It lives on in every breath her child takes. And that, truly, is forever.